Welcome to Fortitude at Work, a podcast all about building your mental and emotional strength. Pull up a chair and join in the chat with your hosts, Leanne and John. Let's talk all things that put fortitude to work for you.
Welcome back, Johnny. I'm always welcoming you.
You are. Welcome back, Leanne.
Thanks, Johnny.
It's good to see you. How are you?
I'm actually very well. Thank you so much for asking.
That's okay. Season 2, Episode 8. What are we talking about today?
Oh, yeah, we are talking about business coaches and mentors today.
Is there a value?
There is a massive value.
Well, how did you work that out?
Okay, you ready?
Yeah, I'm here.
Take a sip.
Okay.
Get a coffee. Relax.
Yeah, a bit of vodka.
Okay, so we were actually talking about this off camera just earlier, but we're going to do a bit of a recap here. I've spent 10 years working in this space, which is looking at the mental health of small business owners, and now I'm really looking at micro business people. And we were just having this conversation before the camera rolled about the value of really getting the nitty-gritty of the business under your belt.
And this is, you're pretty passionate about this. So this is stuff, you know this stuff.
Yeah.
You've lived this stuff.
I have.
And you have been present to a lot of people sending this point home to you. So it's this is important.
Yeah,
Okay.
This is important.
Okay.
So where I want to start is by explaining that I, through my own lived experience of owning a small business that had challenges and years of reflection on that, but more importantly, going out and doing this research is understanding what really is at the very essence of ensuring that I can cope in a small business when times are tough.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I've had many coffees with small business owners who have wanted to have a chat because they're stressed.
Yeah.
And they're having a tough time. And when we might first sit down and talk, that's exactly what it looks like. You know, they're just anxious about their business. They're not enjoying the process. They don't really like it. No. But when you spend time really digging into why that might be the case.
They're really not enjoying it.
They're really not enjoying it.
No.
And there's usually a few fundamental reasons for that. And this is why honesty, which we talked about, I think, in episode 1, is just so important.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because either, and I'm just going to cut to the chase here, either they don't have enough money in the bank and they're worried about how do I pay my mortgage, how do I pay myself, how do I send my kids to school, how do I tell my wife I've got to take more equity out of the house, whatever.
That keeps you up. That keeps you up at night.
That definitely keeps you up at night. They don't know from this week to the next week what money is going to be in the bank, and they don't necessarily understand what the difference is between being profitable and not having money in the bank. So quite often, if we're having these chats, they might say to me, you know, I'm working really hard, the business is coming in and I've got nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
And that's related to cash flow, which is different to profit, so understanding that. And the other third thing that tends to come out quite a lot is how do I sell my services to people? And I think we're starting to see that more and more as people get nervous that the economy is slowing a bit.
Yeah.
So the worry is I don't know where the next sale is coming from.
Yeah.
And I can tell you from years of working now in this space that if we can address things like knowing when you're profitable, getting money off people, like asking people to pay their invoices and having a belief that you can sell and you can sell what you're making, doing, whatever. If we get those things in place, you are less stressed.
And the people you had the cuppas with and during the research and from your own lived experience, this spectrum, if you like, is I'm stressed all the way through to I'm terrified and I'm on the verge of a nervous breakdown. And I'm not sleeping, I'm not eating properly, I'm not I'm not enjoying this process at all, and something needs to change. Right.
And so I can tell you, like from these conversations and from my experience in this field, there is absolutely no point saying go for a walk, go and meditate for 10 minutes, because the reality of it is I'll take 10 minutes out to meditate, but I can't stop my mind from racing.
I'm coming back to the same problems.
That's right. All I do is sit in quiet so that my mind can tell me, oh my God, you know, how are you going to pay that bill that's due?
Really, they're just keeping their head above water.
Right.
Yeah, and even if they did go for a walk or meditated or had some respite, all it really does is give them 10 minutes to go back into the battle.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, but please understand that I'm not saying that those tools and strategies have no place. They absolutely do have a place. It's like, you know, there's always a place to put petrol in your car to keep it running. And that's exactly what it is. It's petrol in your body to keep it running, or electricity in our case. So what I'm actually saying is that if we don't address the practical side of running a business, then it really doesn't matter what we say with regards to looking after your mental health if all of the basic day-to-day business elements aren't in place.
Processes, budgets, forecasts, business plan, written down.
Yeah.
The really annoying stuff that small business people hate doing is what's causing this incredible amount of stress, because they're not doing it.
Exactly.
And if you can just push through that wall and grab a pen and a piece of paper, it can make a huge difference. But you've got to push through the wall.
Yeah, you've got to.
If you don't, not sustainable.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because the reality of it is we all love writing mission statements. We all love being creative, and we all love coming up with ideas.
Oh, yeah.
To be honest, that's the easy part of being a business owner, and that may not necessarily put the money in the bank.
To pay the bills.
Yeah. We have to know how to do that.
And you can't afford a business manager or a full-time accountant or the staff to go and do that for you. When you're small or micro, you've got to learn that skill. You may be the best mechanic in the state, but if you don't have a business plan, you don't have a budget and a forecast and a business plan, then you are going to still not sleep at night.
Yeah. So there is a lot of free services out there where you can go and learn to do those things. But maybe you do actually go, hang on a second, I'm not sleeping at night because I don't think I can pay my bills this week. So what I might do, though, is I might take, you know, my last bit of money and go and actually find an accountant who can help me to navigate my way out of this.
Yeah, a plan.
A plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly right.
Yeah, and the strange thing is that even the plan, an incomplete plan or a plan that you might not 100% have trust in, whatever, having the plan, just having any plan, helps you sleep better at night.
And I'm not talking a 10-pager. I'm just saying a 1-page document that says, if I sell my car tuning service for $500, I know I make from that a $100 profit. So in the week, if I sell 6 car tuning services, I'm making $600 in profit.
Yeah.
Just knowing that can often help to relieve the stress that you're facing if you're bleeding money.
Yeah.
Because then I know, okay, forget the repairing tyres, forget the changing hubcaps.
Yeah.
All I'm going to do this week is sell car servicing because I know I make $100 every time I do it.
Yeah, and you can, and if you know what you make out of a certain service that needs a certain amount of energy to put into it, and you find that you're putting a huge amount of energy into a product or a service that has some small profit, and you're putting not much energy into a product or service that has a higher product,
right?
Then, geez, put your energy into that service and let the other ones go.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why, as much as I hated it at Billy Goat, I had to have a dashboard every week that told me what my most profitable product was and who my most profitable customers were.
Yeah.
And I hated the numbers, but I had to look at it every week, because if I didn't have money in the bank, I would say, how can I sell more of my most profitable item to my most profitable customers.
And how can I not send resources to something that's not profitable?
Not waste my time.
Yeah.
On something I might like to do.
Yeah.
I loved making new product.
Yeah, and the hard part of that is that you may have one person that says, I really loved that product, and you feel because you're a business person that wants to fulfill needs, it's hard to say no.
Yeah.
We no longer sell the peppermint honey
That's
product.
exactly right.
And I go, yeah, but that was my favourite. And you go, yeah, I'm sorry, we just don't do that because there was no money in it.
There was no money in it.
And I have to keep my business going
Yeah.
to pay my bills. And the way I do that is I'm going to put all my energy into the most popular product.
Right.
And that was the plain soap.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if I had it on a dashboard, but let's go back to the mechanic. If I had the one page that just told me that doing car services was my most profitable activity,
Yep.
that's all I'm going to do.
Yep.
That's how I'm going to promote myself. I'm just going to do car services. If I know that, guess what I'm actually doing?
What's that?
I'm actually caring for my mental health.
Yes. Because,
I'm actually working mentally well. And you know what? I've not talked about yoga.
No.
I've not talked about meditation. I've not talked about going for a walk.
No.
But what I have really, really talked about is mental health at work.
I've written down a plan to take some stress out of my life.
Right.
Yeah.
And because we actually know that financial stress and strain is the number one reason for people not coping in a small business.
Yeah. And there's help.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There's a couple of really great services that are free that can help with this type of support. One is called New Access for Small Business, and you can Google that. So it's a New Access for Small Business. It's actually put together by Beyond Blue, but it's specifically aimed at helping small business owners. They're business coaches.
Okay.
They're business coaches who have an understanding about counselling and therapy and support. So they bring both of those skills which is beautiful. I love the program.
It's
my favourite.
Yeah.
And it's free.
Yeah.
And you get, I think it's 6 free consults with a coach. You don't need a doctor's referral. You can just book online, just Google it. You can book online and get 6 free conversations with a business coach around that.
At this time in history. Yeah.
The other is, and we've talked about this before, is the Small Business Debt Helpline. And they're like financial counsellors, but they're very familiar with small business, and they'll often help to negotiate for you, support you, help you navigate through those types of stressors and strains. So like we were talking about, I think we were talking about it off camera, I think I've become a lot more cynical about, and a lot more practical. Maybe cynical is unfair.
Well, you've been present to a lot of pain.
Yeah, I have.
And you've seen all of that pain and you've gone, geez, you've told me that this is the thing that's keeping me up at night. And then this other person has told you this is the thing that takes care of that pain.
Yeah.
And it is about having it written down in a plan, in a process with procedures.
And looking at how do I become wiser about the practical runnings of a business. So, for example, Xero put out every month the average time it takes for a small business owner to get paid on an invoice. So if Xero tell me, because they've got access, right? They've got so many people sign up. If Xero says it currently takes a small business owner 36 days to get paid on an invoice that they issue, if I know that and I follow them on Instagram, or I've signed up to their newsletter and that's how I get it in my inbox, if I know that, then when I'm doing my accounts late at night, and it usually is late at night for a small business owner, then I might actually just take a moment to go and look at my financial software package, my Xero package, and just go and look at how many invoices are currently outstanding and how long has it been since I got paid on those invoices. So if I know that Xero says it takes 36 days and my oldest outstanding not being paid invoice is 47 days, then that tells me that I'm not chasing bringing the money in efficiently enough.
And that needs some energy.
That needs energy. So when somebody says to me, I'm not sleeping at night because I'm working really hard, but I've got no money in the bank to show for it, then maybe if we talk about how do you ask someone for money, how do you get someone to pay a bill on time, the minute I start getting my customers paying their bills on time, I can sleep at night because suddenly I've got money in the bank. And that's a really good mental health strategy.
So you clearly you've, rather than look at mental health as to go and care for yourself and love yourself more and then go and you'll be able to keep your head above water in business, you're saying actually do some practical stuff.
Yeah.
And then the side effect is an improved mental health.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's go one step further and say, because I could teach someone how to meditate, right? But let's teach someone how to collect a bill.
Yeah.
So what might you do? So you've got a bill that was due, let's say, on the 10th of April, let's pretend, and it's now the 29th of April. So that means that you've gone 19 days over the due date. What are some of the things that you can do to try to get that customer to pay their bill? The first thing I would be saying is, right at the time of doing the deal with that customer, tell them what your trading terms are. Either have it written on your invoice, like Jerry does here, have it written on your invoice that says our trading terms is 14 days, for example. Tell them at the time of conversation when you sign them up.
Time of contract, time of service agreement.
Yep, tell them that. And then when it comes to the day of payment...
It says, dear sir, madam, as per.
Right. The day after.
Yep.
So they might be paying, it might come into your bank account. The day after, if they've not paid you... Dear sir, madam...
As per our agreement, as per our service agreement,
Yep.
as per our invoice.
Yep. Sometimes I've had some business owners who work alone who've set up a different email address in a different person's name. So it looks like Fred from accounts is now onto my invoice. Because there's always a struggle when you're a sole trader that you don't want to offend somebody. That's always the worry. Let's get honest. You don't want to offend somebody by saying, oh, mate, you got to pay your bill because you still want them to book and take your service. So how do you find that balance? Well, suddenly Fred from accounts is asking for the payment, not Leanne.
That's right. And it also goes the extra step, and that is at some point when someone isn't paying you, no matter how valuable you see them to the business, if they're not paying, and they're not paying for 100 days or 200 days, then your business can't afford to have them as a client.
Yeah, that may well be the case. But I do understand it's often a dance.
It is.
It is. But we have to be confident enough in so many of the things we've already talked about, right? Okay, so I was bemoaning between episodes that all we're doing is filling this lovely studio up with hot air. But now I understand everything we've said in these previous episodes, and I don't want to get upset, is about doing these things.
It is.
We've got to have the wisdom, we've got to have the self-confidence and the moment to be mindful of why we cannot ask for the money. To work through that and then go out and ask for the money. Because if we get paid on the 19th or the 10th and not the 29th, if we get paid on the 10th, guess what? We're going to sleep. And that's the key to mental health at work.
And in your planning, you plan your accounts payable and your accounts receivable.
Yeah.
You write it down.
Exactly. You write it down and you know.
And you put a process in place.
Yeah.
This happens the day after it's due. This happens a week after it's
Exactly.
due. Yep.
And how many overdue accounts do I have? Guaranteed it's going to beat a walk. It is.
You know, hugging a tree? No?
No.
No? Okay.
Get your bills paid.
That's it. And know that next Monday, if this doesn't happen, that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. You feel more You feel safer.
You're in control.
You feel safer.
And control is actually part of positive mental health.
And powerful.
Yeah, power. And let's talk more about that next week.
Okay.
Good work, Johnny.
Yeah, well done.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for your time today. Hope you got some great takeaways from our chats. If you'd like to know more about John and his counselling, go to johndiamond.com.au. If you'd like to know a bit more about Leanne and the work she does in the mental health of small business owners, go to fortitudeatwork.com.au. Don't forget, check the show notes for any additional information about support and resources specifically for small business owners.